I am Bob Weedon. That's a picture. I don't know where they got that picture. Who's that guy?
So we only take in senior dogs. And what I noticed with senior dogs that have not been neutered is in male dogs, anal tumors, testicular cancer, and also marking territory in the house more than my unneutered senior dogs.
In terms of reducing circulating testosterone in male dogs, I think it's going to be interesting. Serpell and Zawistowski are going to look at this because they're more interested in behavior aspects. And I think concomitant or corollary to that, they will look at other health benefits, because I think you will see at some cut point, reducing testosterone will reduce the incidence of anal tumors. You know, we know that testosterone is implicated in prostatic hypertrophy. We also know that neutered male dogs are more likely to have prostatic cancer than intact male dogs. The relative risk is about 3 times for developing prostate cancer in a neutered male compared to an intact male. So what's going to be interesting here, by reducing testosterone some, can we reduce prostatic hyperplasia, hypertrophy, but have still a protective effect against prostatic carcinoma? And I think the jury's out on that, but I think it warrants looking at, because we are going to reduce testosterone to some extent. And nobody knows at what cut point does that have effect on things like behavior, or testosterone's even implicated in behavior.
So were there any, have there been any studies yet, though, particular to the age of the dog and this effect?
No, I don't think there have, because in the USA, Esterilsol, is only approved for 3 to 10 months.
Yeah, well, we're also getting it approved now for adult male dogs too, because we have it in other countries.
Yeah,
it works on all male dogs, but Dr. Carlos Escobar is the lead reproduction man in Mexico. He's the one that has all the data on this, and I really, all I can tell you is that we have very positive results in the questions you ask, but I really can't back that up scientifically. But Carlos can, and I would love to have him send stuff to you.
I mean, I love the idea that we don't have to put a dog under.
Sure.
I mean,
Yes.
our old dogs under
Yeah.
to, you know, neuter them or whatever you want to call that with an injection.
Yeah.
But I, you know, also because these dogs are old and
Right.
you know the changes might be different.
I did, when I was in the Dominican, I did some old dogs. And the follow-up I heard was that they did fine. And we sedated them, we gave them xylazine, and we did not reverse them because we wanted them to wake up slowly because they were essentially feral dogs. But you could certainly, reverse that, and so they're fully awake very quickly. Nico, we did with, the only thing we gave him was some oral Benadryl, and I don't think it really did much anything. Yes, sir?
Do you happen to know the longevity of spermatozoa and reproductive tract of a surgically castrated dog?
Do I happen to know the longevity of spermatozoa in the reproductive tract of a surgically castrated dog?
The Esterilsol works within 2 to 3 days, but the sperm that has been produced before that will live in the epidermis for about 30 days. That's why they say after injection it's about a 30-day period.
But on a dog that is not sexually active yet, they don't
on a puppy, it will never be an issue, you know, so they will be sterile.
Yes, ma'am.
Has most of your research been done on dogs? Have you done any research on cats for long-term effects at all?
Yeah, it works on cats and dogs, but we're only approved in the country of Colombia for cats, just because to get approved for cats with the FDA, it's another $1 million.
This is wonderful for the overpopulation aspect of it, but a lot of dogs and cats are brought into shelters because of behaviors.
Right, but what sort of behaviors are you referring to?
Well, spraying with cats,
Right.
marking territory. The dogs need to want to get out of a yard to find, you know.
Right. That's what's going to be looked at between Dr. Serpell at Penn and Dr. Z at ASPCA. It has been shown, again, by reducing testosterone, some of these behaviors will be impacted, but we're not sure at what level which behavior will be impacted. You know, roaming, marking, wanting to mate, you know, these sorts of behaviors. You know, when I was trained in Mexico 2 years ago, I met a lady who had her dog done like 3 months before. Now, obviously, we all know an N of 1 is not statistically significant, but she was so happy. It was a terrier blend. I learned that term today. The terrier blend, and he was a cute dog. He was about 40 pounds or so. But this lady was so worried because he had this inner dog aggression issue. And she said, you know, ever since we treat him with Esterilsol, I can take him to the park. He doesn't.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, you know, like I said, an N of 1 is not statistically significant. But how cool would it be if we could reduce those kind of aggressions while not, you know, having the pendulum swing the other way and removing all testosterone altogether. We already talked a little bit about the overpopulation problem, but it, you know, in the United States, how many of you have dogs that sleep with you? Yeah, you know, I miss my little dog. I have a Dachshund Chihuahua blend. Show you pictures. But we know that on a global basis, you know, only 5% of dogs are treated in the manner that we're used to. So that really doesn't impact us. Certainly there's a huge market for this product in resource-challenged countries. And I already mentioned how the Dominican was just killing animals. We know that that doesn't work. There's data to support depopulation, extermination does not work. I mentioned I was going to talk about the clinic in the Dominican. We used Esterilsol in conjunction with rabies vaccination and high-quality, high-volume spay-neuter. We did, in 2 weeks' time, about 700 animals. Wow. 55, we did, in 1 week, we did 55 males with Esterilsol. In Latin cultures, how can I say this tactfully?
They don't believe in neuter.
They want their dogs to have balls.
There you go. That's it.
You know, but they were averse to using Esterilsol, and I'm kind of wondering, how many of you are from areas where, you know, you got pity products? And there's that culture there that they want their dogs to have balls. This, you know, this might be very similar, but it was well received, particularly in Latin cultures. And here's a picture of me. The top picture, I am measuring the dog with the caliper, and in the bottom picture, you see it's a very small volume that is just injected intratesticularly, very slowly. It's, like I said, we did Nico without any chemical restraint, and he didn't bite me. It's 27 gauge needles, recommended size, so it's very small, it's very painless. And there's, you know, if you think about it, there's really no nerve endings inside the testicle, so once you get through the scrotum, it's not painful. I know there's a whole guy thing like, ooh, that gives me the creeps. How many of you have seen this article? September 2009 issue of Science. Anybody wants it, email me. I'll send it to you. It's really cool. It's an article about the quest for a non-surgical sterile, and it's entitled "The Cure for Euthanasia." And in there it says humane organizations throughout the United States can't surgically sterilize homeless cats and dogs fast enough to control their numbers, and developing countries with dangerous feral dog problems, such as China and India, fare even worse. Now, like I said, I can do 5 dogs in the time that I can surgically castrate a male, and I'm a fast surgeon. I do an 8-minute dog spay, 6-minute dog castration, 6-minute cat spay. But I can do Esterilsol even faster than that. But this is a really cool article. Anybody heard of the Michelson Prize and grants in reproductive biology? Yeah, this is what prompted this article. And I've used this article in my speaking for the Global Alliance for Rabies Control because I have a firm belief that incorporating animal population control in rabies prevention campaigns will go a long way to helping reduce the burden. Because there's proof. In Jaipur, India, they surgically sterilized 25,000 dogs and vaccinated them for rabies over the course of 8 years, and during that time, the incidence of human rabies decreased to 0 in that community, whereas it was increasing in surrounding populations. So incorporating something like this internationally is a great thing. But this article was really written about what you all do, cleaning out shelters in the, I know shelter's not a good term to use now, I learned that today too. Cleaning out places where we keep animals that don't have homes. How's that? Orphans. Because by reducing the number of orphans, you know, I'd like to honestly be out of a job. But yes, ma'am.
Where you've done the sterilization of the large, you know, the 10 and 25,000, how long ago were those, and do you see impact on the population?
For example, in Mexico, we're working right now on trying to do about 10 million dogs. They do about 18 to 20 million dogs during their rabies campaign every year. Half of those are more males. So if we successfully can partner in doing that, which they're working on today, we get that done, then you're going to see it, the studies will show you'll see a decrease in the population.
And about 20 years ago, they had 15,000 cases of canine rabies every year in Mexico. And they started this countrywide campaign to vaccinate dogs against rabies, because dogs are the principal reservoir. And you can see the number comes down to where they have less than 100 cases of rabies every year in Mexico. Do you know how many we have in the United States every year? In 2006, well, interesting enough, in 1947, there were like 8,500 cases of canine rabies in the United States. We instituted mandatory vaccination programs. In 2006, there were 71 cases of canine rabies in the United States. How many people die of rabies every year in the United States? Over the last 10 years, 1 to 2. Over the last 10 years, average. How many people die globally? 55,000 people die every year of a totally preventable disease.
That we know, that we have recorded. I believe it's a lot more than that.
Rabies is not a reportable disease in
not
many
reportable.
countries. So the 95% confidence interval extends, the upper limits is over 100,000.
And you understand that the roaming dogs are not necessarily unfriendly, they're community dogs. If you go to developing countries, the children are playing with them. And it was news to me to learn, as I learned over the years, that rabies is passed on through saliva. They're just looking, they're not biting the children, they're playing with them and licking them, and they're getting rabies.
You know, if I use a Esterilsol, can I sign a sterilization certificate immediately?
But yes, in Phoenix, a vet signed, a friend of mine had their dog done, and you can sign a certificate saying that they're sterilized.
In North Carolina, said we have an ordinance that all animals must be surgically sterilized prior to adoption. And they have changed, the county actually changed the wording. They dropped the surgical to just sterilize. And because they know that these things are coming.
Right now it's approved 3 to 6 months, is that correct?
3 to 10.
It's approved FDA 3 to 10. It's effective in other parts of the world. It's all the way through.
3 months, 3 months and up.
3 months and up.
Yeah.
We just didn't pay the $1 million to the FDA, but now we're planning to do that.
Is there any verification procedure or test that's done post the injection?
The question was, is there any verification procedure to make sure that the injection was done correctly?
You just do a sperm analysis before and after. And you'll look under the microscope and you'll see the swimmers are gone. Here's how the cost works. Right now we're approved, FDA approves us for a 2 millimeter vial. Bob,
why don't you let me answer this?
Yeah, that way.
I'm not affiliated with the company.
Right.
I didn't stay at Holiday Inn Express. When we were in the Dominican, in Mexico, they have 2 ml vials, maximum dose 1 ml per test. So these are single dose vials. Now, when we were in the Dominican, we had 20 ml vials, which would be enough for 10 maximum dose vials. We did 55 dogs with 2.5 vials. So if your cost is $60 a vial, you know, $80 a vial or $100 a vial, whatever it is, and you get 10 dogs out of that vial, then say $100 a vial divided by 10 is $10 a dog. But if I'm getting 25 dogs out of a vial, it's only costing me $4. Now they can't say that legally, but I can.
The product will be available in the United States the 4th quarter of this year. We're coming to the center, the animal care centers, you know, instead of shelters, as Mike, you know, educate us, because we believe this is going to be the greatest opening to receive, because it's a solution to a problem. We want to just get everybody prepared, because by November the product's going to be here, you know, and we're pretty excited about that. Yes.
Spay neuter. It's huge cost, and the only ones making money are the vets.
Not anymore.
Syringe,